Вас вітає Тризуб ТВ, і сьогодні у нас зустріч пройде дуже в незвичайному форматі. Сьогодні ми зустрічаємося із засновником і директором культурного центру Пессоа і компанія Уго Дуарте, і сьогодні ми проведемо зустріч англійською мовою. Тож дивіться нас. Muito boa tarde, Ugo.
Boa tarde.
E hoje vamos falar em inglês.
Perfect.
I would like to ask you several questions. Still, my mind is switching from one language to another, which is not really easy sometimes. So I'll try to concentrate and we'll begin. First, I would like you to tell our audience about your project, because people can find some information on the internet. We follow your page on Facebook, but I would like to ask, everyone knows who is Pessоa, but who is that compania? Who are you?
Well, the concept of this name, Pessоa e compagnia, it has two different meanings. One is that we are not restricted to the only literary figure, not only to Pessоa, but also to many other different great writers that we have in Portugal: Lobo Antunes, José Saramago, José Cardoso Pires. So when we say compagnia, we mean that we have great literary and writer friends in this place, which join us, not only Pessоa, but many other different great writers. And it has a second meaning too, because this project, it has to do with connection with the community. So the idea of this project is to establish links with the community in which we are located in. So this is the basic idea, is that here the individual is part of a community. He is united by culture, by arts, to other individuals. So it's compagnia also on that social and inclusive
I see. Very interesting approach, I would like to say, because, for instance, we can relate, having quite rich imagination, that we can even relate it to your team who works to it, but it's totally different concept, so it's really interesting to know it. But we are very curious about your very particular and precise team. So could you please tell us about it?
Yes, of course. Our team has an interesting curiosity. It has people from all different nationalities. Basically, the Portuguese are a minority in our team. We have 12 people at the moment. We are all volunteers, and we have volunteers from France, from Italy, from Brazil. We had from Syria, from the United States, from Romania, from Switzerland. So it's a multicultural team, as well as the place. So that concept of community also occurs inside our team. We have people from all different nationalities, people who started coming to this place as visitors, and then we start establishing some connection with those people, and they started suggesting ideas of cooperation, and a few weeks later they started cooperating permanently with us.
I see, it's understood. But I'm also curious about who was the generator of the idea, because sometimes it just happens all of a sudden, we don't expect anything, and then some flash, and then we have started a new project. So how was it in your case?
Yes, in our case it was right that, a flash, because I had this dream of developing cultural project with some objectives in terms of promoting cultural arts and social inclusion through culture. And there was a flash one day when I met a friend at Faculdade de Letras de Lisboa, and I was sharing with him this idea, and he replied, "I also have that dream." And since that moment, we started materializing that dream. Initially, I had wondering of developing this perhaps in some years or a couple of decades, perhaps when I become retired. But the simple fact of discovering that other person was looking for something similar became it much easier. So we too started developing this project, and in very few months, a project that was expected to occur in the future became reality.
I see. That's really amazing. And you know, I recall just a phrase of very famous philosopher Lao Tzu, who said, every big and significant trip always starts with the very short and very little thing, such the first step. So the first step was done, and now you are in the process. For how many years, for how long you already exist?
We will complete 3 years in next September. So it is a very, very recent project. And I would say that we have achieved some maturity in terms of the concept and the project, perhaps 1 year ago. It took us some time to establish those links with the community and materializing all this project. So it's very recent.
Well, I would say, you know, it's very comparative thing. Or it's long term or it's short term. I think it depends on your very particular approach and what you already have done. So can you share with us what events already you provided?
Yes, basically this project tries to develop its activity in 3 different fields. One, it's a link for culture. We promote regularly exhibitions, book presentations, poetry sessions, many different activities that we can consider as cultural promotion and artistical promotion of new artists, new writers. Then we have a link to the community, and on that link we try to establish and to develop activities specifically focused on the different targets of population that surrounds us. For example, every week we provide here in this space sessions of storytelling to little children from the kindergarten nearby. And regularly we also promote, for example, poetry sessions to the elderly from the institutions also located nearby. So we try to bring these people here and to make here create some dynamics specifically for our neighbors, for the population that surrounds us. And the third link is the link that brings us back to the flash moment, which is the link to the university. We have a very, very strong link with the University Faculdade de Letras de Lisboa. And we were students there, and we still try to keep a close connection with university. So one of the examples is to promote, for example, the presentation of research works from the students of the university, master thesis, doctorate thesis, so that anyone can come here and listen to what is being done at our university. Try also to establish that link between the university and the community in general. So bring the knowledge from the university to the place and spread it.
I say it is quite a rich variety. Things are very different because we thought, following on Facebook as I mentioned, we thought that you are mostly into cultural events, but now, as far as I understood, your activity is quite wide and extensive. So could you please tell us about a future project you are working at the moment?
We are now developing a new project, which is a project of public speech training. So we have started carrying out sessions this month in May, and we are developing those sessions in articulation with the international network Toastmasters Communication. So we opened a Toastmasters club here at Espaço Pesssoa e Companhia, which it's also a project that just started now, but it's becoming very interesting because it's also, as the other activities that we carry on here, a multicultural initiative. The communication can be carried out in Portuguese, in Spanish, in French, in Ukrainian, in English. So the idea is to learn how to speak in public. And that's one of the projects that we are developing at the moment.
You practically already have answered my next question about the languages, what languages it would be possible. Now
Yes.
I heard it, I understood. So I think we are even going to participate with you if possible. As you just visitors and guests, we would like to learn from you.
We are looking forward.
While live, learn. I think it's the motto of any normal person. It's very interesting, because I was immersed in such sort of events when I lived in Kyiv. We also had some sort of training. They were for free with just volunteers. They appeared, and we were involved in such projects when you don't expect the subject, you don't expect anything, and say, okay, girl, what's your name? Come here, start talking. And but it gives you then sort of freedom when you appear in some unknown place with some strangers. You can be easily oriented and you are more self-secure. So I think that project is really great. Not because I want to flatter, or to say something polite. No, I really think so. I think it's a marvelous project.
In fact, what you are mentioning is absolutely true, even to many of the activities that we are carrying out here, because from the characteristics of the space, it is small, it is fulfilled with books, and we are very close to each other. So what happens is that every time that someone new comes to an event, that person immediately starts knowing the other people and gets integrated on that small community of other people that are here for the poetry or for the autograph session from the writer or for the public speech sessions. So that's one of the main characteristics that we have discovered. We had not planned that at the beginning, but we discovered that the space creates that dynamic. It becomes familiar, and people who just arrive to Lisbon but like culture or literature or art, if they get in touch with this space, when we have some activity, he immediately will engage with other people and will become part of a small group that is united by some specific passion, literature, cinema, theater, arts. So I believe that no one is a stranger here.
So very true, because I think your space really presupposes someone to be immersed even physically, because it rejects all the distance, all the barriers and frontiers.
That's true.
So I think it's perfect, because when we say that the space is small or the space is large enough, I think it's not the space itself, it is people who make it or warm or the opposite. Because the first time I already met you, I told you there is some atmosphere, something unique about your space, and I was immediately in love with it, and I understood that it is because of people. It is because of your team, because of you and team, what brings the particle of your soul here. Well, I wouldn't like to be that pathetic, but it's very difficult even to stop thinking in this way. So besides that project, I know that sometimes you have dance projects, because I read on the internet, and we with my colleagues were going to visit that tango night. Unfortunately, we were filming also, and we finished that late that it was not even possible to communicate with people after midnight. But may you tell us about some projects, dancing ones, because it's also very interesting for people, and we would like to spread that information because it's very vivid, and a lot of people who speak with hands, who learns body language, they would be interested to participate.
Yes, monthly we carry out sessions of contemporary dancing or dancing improvisation, and from time to time, not so regularly, we develop some specific type of dance approaching. For example, this weekend we carried out that tango session that perhaps we will repeat next month. I hope so.
We hope so too.
But I'll let you know.
Because we are already waiting for it, you know. So, Ugo, may I ask you kind of personal questions? Since you've mentioned that all of you are volunteers, so it means all of you have your normal day-to-day life,
yes,
and you have your profession, your job. So may I ask about your job, your life? Where were you born? Where did you study? And so basically, what is around you and inside you?
Okay, I'm an architect, and I work both in architecture and real estate. And I've always lived in Lisbon. I studied in Lisbon, and I've grown here, and I live here, also in this street. So I'm very connected to the city, and even during some periods of my life in which I studied outside of Portugal, I permanently felt that very, very strong link to Lisbon. So it's the place of my dreams, my projects, and it's the place where I intend to live.
I know some secrets, like for instance, you had post-graduational courses in Paris, in Barcelona, so you can say that not even such places what amaze culture and architecture can stop you of coming back to Lisbon.
That's true. I had the privilege to live in magnificent cities due to academic studies, but I could never change Lisbon for any of those cities, not for the monumentality, not for anything in particular, but Lisbon has a special atmosphere, special human scale. It's something that I haven't found in any other city. The other cities I visited or are too big, or are too small, or are too away from the river and the sea coast. And Lisbon is close to everything. People are close to each other. We are close to the sea, we are close to the beaches, we are close to the countryside. We can walk the city from one point to the opposite point. It's a very secure city. So it's my home. It's my home. I could never change it for any other city.
It's very pleasant and enchanting to hear it, but for us, we are happy to have you here, because otherwise we would have no possibility or opportunity to meet you, to meet your activity and your cultural center, which we already like. Can you tell me what are positive moments in your work and negative, or let's not call them negative, but difficulties during your work?
Well, from the activity that we have been carrying out here at the space, the most amazing experience that I retain is the admirable people that I had the opportunity to meet. Great writers, great poets, that if it wasn't such a project, I rarely would meet or have the chance to meet those people. So I would say that the simple fact of knowing some amazing people that create, that write, that paint, that imagine fabulous poetry, that's the main reward that I retain from this project. Difficulties is more into materialistic subject of having permanent expenses to pay, because this project has to be self-sustainable. So on one hand we are dreamers and we try to materialize a dream, but on the other hand this dream has to be sustainable. So we have our natural expenses.
Yeah, sure.
And fortunately, we have been able to get all the project self-sustainable. But I would say that is the less positive aspect, which doesn't let us fly absolutely on our dreams. We have to keep our feet really on earth, so that everything is under control in terms of the daily expenses and the daily management of a space like this, which depends from itself. If it is successful, it works. If it is not, it closes. So it's our main target to always have that vision, that practical vision of guarantee the self-sustainable of this project.
I see. I was going to ask you, maybe there are some institutions who are interested in your activity and thus they can support you somehow. Are there any who provide help, or maybe even communities of immigrants, whether they participate or not, and are they helpful or not? So in that perspective, how it looks like?
Here, what happens is that we, as a cultural association, we depend most of all from our affiliates, for the people that want to become part of this project and that wish to support being an affiliate of the association. And what this affiliation is about, it's just per semester we have how do you say?
Semestral fee.
A semestral fee of €5. So basically it's that semestral fee from the affiliates that is the basic support of this project. Besides that, all these books that you see here are donations. So are books that are donated by people, by friends, by affiliates, and they are here for reselling as well, basically almost as symbolic prices, but it's also another way to guarantee that income, both the fees and both the book selling, which provide that sustainability of the project.
I see. So no one promised us in our life that everything will be easy.
No.
But
no.
I think, I'm a great believer, Hugo, if we say, I want to, then I do it. If I don't want to, I will always find excuse saying, oh, it's difficult, I cannot maintain this, I cannot actually participate in it. But seeing you, I know that if you want to, you will move that project on and on and on. From our side, we would like to also say that if there would be any possibility to cooperate, we would gladly help you, because we are also volunteers. We are volunteers, we are volunteering in many spheres, so, and we are very attached to culture. We are also trying to be multicultural here, because when we Ukrainians came to your land, we try not only to absorb, which is nice, but also to give something. So you can count on us. If we can be somehow helpful or useful for you, we would gladly participate in it, because it's the sense of life. It goes like this.
Absolutely, and it is our strong interest also that we can enhance our cooperation, because Ukraine has a very, very strong and diverse culture, and we have tried in this project also to establish those links with the different communities, with the different forms of art and expressing culture. So it will be absolutely our pleasure to develop activities in connection with the Ukrainian community in Lisbon. Absolutely, it will enrich our project, absolutely, because we developed this project also basically by people's contributes, and the more diverse are those contributes, the more interesting this project becomes.
So. From our side, I hope so. But I was going to ask you one more question. Who are the most active participants? I mean the countries, the communities of immigrants, of people who live here. We don't want to put someone on the first place, doing some graduation. No, but practically a lot of people already participated in your events. Can you just name them? Who were them? What countries?
We cannot define a specific community as representing the majority of our visitors, because we have so many different visitors. I would say that mainly from Europe, from Central Europe, many French, English, Germans, but also people from the Middle East, people from China. So it's people from many different nationalities who are studying in Lisbon, or are just living in Lisbon, or are just visiting Lisbon. We have already that experience.
Even that?
Yes, we had already the experience of someone who only came to Lisbon for one day and came here for an event, and just received our information through those network meetup forums.
Incredible.
And so that network it's very diverse, and it's for us very funny to see people from so many different nationalities. And you can perceive that diversity, for example, in an event that I think we've talked about that last time we met, which is the multicultural poetry sessions. That event is representative of that, because what it consists in bringing people from different nationalities, bring a poem in their own language, and then they recite that poem, or they read that poem in their original idiom, and afterwards they translate to the other people. And if you come to one of those sessions, and I hope to have some Ukrainian participants in the future, but you will listen to poems from Nepal, poems from China, poems from Germany, poems from Sweden, people that just love poetry, are living or are studying in Lisbon, and bring us those poems. There is not a specific nationality. It's
great.
It's incredible, and surprises us. It really surprises us, because
really great, because
we had
such
not
a
that idea.
mixture of north and south, east and west, all together in one day, it really enriches you.
Yes, and it's amazing how the sound of poetry, although you don't understand what you are listening to if you listen to it in different languages which you are not used to, but the simple experience of sensing, of listening to the musicality of the poem in its original words, it's something magical, and it immediately establishes that sense of community. People from different parts of the world, different cultures, gather and speak the same language, the language of poetry, which is really amazing.
This is awesome.
It's something that surprises us, to be honest.
I think it is a very unique experience, because it gives you the opportunity to really be immersed, to be interlaced with people, to germinate into other cultures altogether. But I would like to say that besides listening the poetry, as you mentioned last time, as music, I bet you already are able to understand languages, because since you are always in that rotation of languages, I bet you already are capable of understanding many other languages. Are you?
No, I would say not as my colleague that you met before, who speaks 12 languages. No, I'm more restricted on that. Basically, Spanish, French, English, Italian, and that's enough.
Well, it's already something, but I think, when you communicate with people more, sometimes even one more word, and it is like a beads. You take a needle and the thread, and you put the beads, and then you have a necklace.
That's
true.
So
I think your necklace is already full of pearls. So, Ugo, I would like to thank you immensely, because as for me, in what comes to my perception, I would never end even that, conversation, but we wouldn't like to take more of your time, because I understand that your timetable, your schedule is quite hectic. So I would like to thank you on behalf of the whole community.
Thank you very much.
Of our television team and all Ukrainians, and not only Ukrainians, since we are making that program in English, we will try to spread it to more international communities here in Portugal. So hope all of them will enjoy that program, and we also hope that one day we will repeat this experience with you.
Thank you very much, Lena. It was a pleasure to receive you here, and we are looking forward to cooperate more and more with the Ukrainian community, and congratulations for the amazing work that you have been carrying out. And the door is open permanently, and we are looking forward to develop activities for new writers from Ukrainian, poets, painters, anyone who would like to develop any activity here in this place. We are at your disposal. So thank you very much.